Gatewood Gators. It is May 19th, 2020, and we are here at Judy and Phil's house to release our salmon. Behind me is Fauntleroy Creek in this beautiful property, and we all would have been gathered here together having lunch and talking about our year raising salmon. So we're going to do it virtually today. We'll get you some footage of the salmon going into the creek. We're going to try to get you some underwater footage and mail that all out to you. So thank you all for helping this year, and we'll see you down on the creek here in just a few minutes.
We received our eggs last January, all 150 of them. We put them in the tank, and they sat very briefly actually, and then they became alevin. And remember how small they were. Here they are today, very rambunctious and active, soon to go into the creek. This is the food that we were feeding them when we had to leave the building. It's a very fine food for small mouths that was provided by the hatchery. In April, we switched to a mix of the fine food and a flake so that they would float more on the surface and teach them a little bit about hunting. The next step was to give them dry bloodworms. This is more nutritious, and they really go after it. And finally, we switched to frozen bloodworms. The freezing gives them a little bit more nutrition. Then they get into the water, into the creek, and they have to fend for themselves. They'll find stonefly larvae, mayfly larvae, caddisfly larvae, and any bug that is unfortunate enough to fall off into the water. The next two pictures are actual larvae that were in the creek. These are stonefly. We're going to go for a walk along the creek from the culvert entrance on up to where we release the fish. First, we're entering the fish ladder, and notice the cutouts in the walls. These are the weirs where the salmon returning will go through that center section. You'll also see that the walls look an awful lot like the molts at the zoo. They are because the people that designed those also designed this. This is a smolt trap. We'll talk about this a little later, but we're trapping smolt as they go out so we can count them. As we go up the stream, look at the vegetation. It's overhanging the stream in such a way that it cools the water, keeps the water cool, and it provides habitats for insects which fall into the water and become food. It's very important that this habitat exists and can cool the keep the water cool. By releasing the fish upstream of this area, it's hoped that the fish will either go up, or if they go down, they won't go very far. We really wouldn't like them to get into the fish ladder because that's where they go on to salt water. And they'll be in the creek for a year. As you remember, smolt stay here. You can see the shade continues even when there's a bright sunlight. There are 3 bridges crossing the creek so that When you're here, you can explore the creek. The red flags are where new plantings were put in to improve the habitat. And this is the general area that we're going to release them.
The river is flowing, it's flowing and growing. The river is flowing down to the sea. Mother, carry me like a salmon swimming free. Mother, carry me down to the sea. The river is flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing down to the sea. Mother, carry me a child, I will always be. Mother, carry me down to the sea. Mother, carry me like a salmon swimming free. Mother, carry me down to the sea. The river is flowing, flowing and growing. The river is flowing down to the sea, down to the sea, down to the sea.
Remember the smolt trap that we saw downstream? Here's a 4.5-inch smolt that was on his way out. We're counting them in these smolt traps. We have close to 80 that have gone out. This is not a record, but it's really a high one for us. Thank you, Gators, for releasing 118 fry into Fauntleroy Creek.